Hey, what's up, Jordan? This is not going to be a quick demo, but it's a demo for you for your sabers. I've got three of your sabers here that I finished up today. First one is the 89 Sabers Graflex, and it's in a New Hope. It's in a New Hope configuration, right? Two button setup. So this top switch here is going to be your activation, and then this sliding switch right here is your auxiliary, right? That's the first saber. The second one is the 7 chambers Magic of Myth, so the MoM saber. This is also a 2-button setup. Made your front switch here, your activation, and then your back switch, that's your auxiliary. So we'll go over this one as well. And then the third and final saber for you is the MPP by 89 Sabers. This has been weathered, just a slight weathering job. I know that you're going to go after trying to get approval for the 501st, so good luck with that. Hopefully, this will assist you. So these are all installed with Proffie B2s. They've all got Smuggler's Outpost 28 millimeter. They got the 28 millimeter Elite speakers in them. They all have CCSabers LED pixels, although it's kind of hard to see that one in there. This has an extremely deep blade socket. And then the rest of them don't quite go that deep, but this one does. I wanted to get past this little, there's a little plastic window in here. I didn't want that interfering with the actual PCB. So I went and gave you a deep blade socket here. We'll just go ahead and go over this one first, and then I'll put these off to the side. And we'll just do them one by one, all right? So I've got a little bit of shine through coming in right here and right here. So I went in there with just a little bit of JB Weld to get all of that shine through out. I'll let this cure overnight, and I'll come back in the morning and I will put some black paint over it to just paint over it so you can never tell that, what I was doing there. But I didn't want that shine through coming through like that. So that's what I did there. To open this guy up, what you want to do is just unscrew the handle. You requested a 21700 battery if possible. I did that on 2 of these sabers. I was not able to do it on the MoM saber, but we'll get to that. All right, but this one does have, there's your chassis. It does say Solo Sabers over here, but I put this in the Sith text since this is a Sith weapon. All right, so Sith text for Solo Sabers. Here's your board. Easy access to your micro USB. To get to your SD card on these guys, you're going to have to pop this board up. This board is extremely tight press fit down into this chassis. I don't like using glue. I just hate it. I don't like using tape if I can get away from it. So what I do is I model my chassis. So this board, it's extremely tough to snap it in place, because once it snaps into place, it's not going anywhere, and that's kind of like what I like to do there. And then your removable battery system right here. So spring side is your negative, and this holds a 21700 battery. This guy right here. So I'll be sending this with your saber. We can go ahead and throw it in. So once we throw that in, we'll go ahead and screw the handle on. Your 28 millimeter speaker also is fully enclosed in the chassis. So whenever I can do that, I try to do that, because the speaker will sound the best that way. So both on the MPP and the Grafflex, the speaker is fully enclosed. So we'll just screw this on until it doesn't go anymore. So this is a 2-button setup too. This is your activation. And this is your auxiliary down here. This thing's super loud. And you just tap it to turn it off. And then you have motion controls on all these. So if you don't want to do that, you can swing it on and then twist off, just like that. We'll throw a blade in here. This actually has 2 blade retentions. So you've got these 2 screws. You've got one here, and then you've got another one right here. So you want to make sure these are backed out of the blade socket. They're just flathead screws, right? So you're going to need a screwdriver. Back these out of the blade socket. And then for the 289 sabers, I'm going to use my shorter test blade that I've been able to sand down a lot, so that we can get contact with the pins. So if you have a brand new blade that you're going to use, you're going to do some sanding on that blade, because these guys on the 89 sabers, no matter what they are, all the sabers have tight blade sockets. So I'm not going to use your blade retention screws, because this is ridiculously tight. You may not even have to use them anyway. If you decide you don't want to use them and they become more of a pain than anything else, you can take them out, kind of chop them down a little bit, and then screw them back in, and then they can just be you know, for aesthetics instead of actual blade retention screws. But anyway, so you've got battle mode, right? So if you hit the blade, or if you hit the saber, it initiates blade lockup, and it will stay like that until you pull away from it. You'll be able to see that a lot better on a full-length blade. You'll see your blade lock up right there in the middle of the blade. And then, yeah, if you want to disengage, just pull away from it. So to get to your soundtracks, what you want to do is hold down the power for a second and let go. That will start it. And then you do the same thing to turn it off. Just hold it down for a second and let go. And then to get to your next font, tap the auxiliary. So it is hard. It is hard to see on my test blade since it's so small. But I did give you a slower, I gave you a slower ignition on this font. Do that again.
You ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Now you have Vader on there twice because I made that second Vader your battery meter on your blade. So when you go to change to that actual font, you'll actually see somewhere on the blade where your battery is. So if it lights up halfway on your blade, that means your battery is about 50%, right? So that's what we've got there. I'm going to take this out. And then to get the battery out, we just want to unscrew this guy. Now the 21700 battery in here is pretty tight because I made just everything kind of compact as I could. So if you find yourself coming over here from the positive side and you can't take it out, you just get you a little tool like this or something and pry it from the tip just like that, and it pops right out for you. You shouldn't have a problem. But that way, you know, it's not going to pop off accidentally. So that is the MPP. We're going to throw the handle on this and set this off to the side. And then we'll go over the Graflex. Put that off to the side. So the Graflex, right? This is set up in the New Hope configuration. You got your bubble strip. Everything's on the left-hand side. You've got your 7 grips coming around here. Your D-ring. CCSabers in there for your LED pixels. And then this screw right here, that's your blade retention screw. So again, that's a flathead screw, right? But to get to everything on this guy, you're going to want to flip this open. Now, when it comes to this clamp card, I put a little bit of E6000 on the side to hold it in place. Otherwise, every time you flip this open, that guy would fall out. But with E6000, you can take it out if you need to, but if not, so if you leave it alone, it'll stay in place. Flip that up, turn this and pull it right out. And then here's what you got. Here's your chassis. Same idea as the MPP, right? This one says Solo Sabers over here in Arabesh. 28mm speaker, all encased. And then here's your Proffie board right here. Again, extremely tight press fit down into the chassis. And easy access to your micro USB, but you'll have to pop this guy up to get to your SD card. On all of these, you'll find on your SD card a copy of the config file that I used to set these Sabers up. So if you ever want to change anything, go in there, see what I did. It's on the Saber. And then you also have removable battery system in here, and this holds a 21700. So we'll throw a battery in this guy. Take this and slide this right on, and then lock the clamp card down. Auxiliary over here. Twist off, or you could use activation right here. And tap it again and turn it off. And then we'll throw a blade in this guy too. Get past the bunny ears. Just squeeze those a little bit. Your blade should go right on by. No biggie. And I'm not going to use the blade retention on this guy either, because, like, again, this is pretty tight. All right. So when we flip this on, go to our next soundtrack, or next font.
This is with you, young Skywalker. But you're not a Jedi yet.
Then we'll go to the next one.
Young Rey.
You got shine through in your glass eye here.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Tusken Terminator, right?
Young Rey.
And I think this one is your battery meter as well. And we're back to the beginning. And we'll take this blade out. So this one's working like it should, right? These blades are extremely tight. And then we'll just flip this guy up, come back over here and take our handle off just like that. And get this battery out. This one you can kind of pull out with your finger. No biggie. And then we'll throw the handle back on for safekeeping. Clamp that down. So that is your Grafflex all done. Everything's working like it should. And then we'll come over to the last saber, which is the MoM saber, right? This saber has my own, You know, all the Sabers have my own chassis design. But so this one breaks down in 3 pieces. First piece is this guy right here. So you can unscrew the grenade section. This comes off, and that's how you get to your removable battery setup right here. So these pins right here that you see, they make contact with that blade PCB that I've got in there, and that never comes out. And of course, that transfers all the power over to your CCSabers LED pixels right here. So that's one piece. This is how you put your battery in and out. Spring side, your negative. So the spring side in there is where you put the battery in first, right? It's a 2-button setup right here. I've got your accent LEDs working like they should. They mimic the cave scene. And then if you ever needed to get to your board, and that's the only time you want to do this, if you need to get to your board, you just unscrew this entire assembly right here. Now what I've done with it, this also has a 28mm Smuggler's Outpost speaker. What I've done is I've taken that speaker, I put it in its own housing, and it's actually a press fit down in there. So it never comes out of this piece right here. It's got that little speaker PCB that lines up with these 2 pogo pins. And then you have super easy access to your board right there in case you ever need to get to your SD card or your micro USB slot. So that's what we've got right there. But if you don't need to get to your board, you really don't even need to take this guy off. We'll just throw this back on and leave it right on. Screws down all the way until it tightens and it doesn't go anymore. Then you can stop. And then this one takes an 18650. There's enough room in here for a 21700 theoretically, right? I mean, there's just barely any room. You can see how it fits in there. But when I started modeling that chassis piece up, this piece right here for that battery width, it was very brittle. And I didn't like that. It was easy to break. There's very little room. The walls were thin. It just wasn't a good idea. So I left it at the 18650 battery, and we'll throw that in now.
Your overconfidence is your weakness.
Now you can see you have the green and red LEDs going back and forth when the Saber is off. But when you got that battery in there, you just come take this and screw it right on. Screw it down as tight as it goes. Just like that. Speaker pod, and it's working. Auxiliary. Twist off. Now, to put a blade in this guy, it's a little tricky, right? What you want to do is you don't want to unscrew this piece or this brass piece. I went ahead and I hand cranked them as tight as I could to try to prevent you from doing that. But you only want to unscrew this rim piece right here. This guy comes right off. And the reason we do that is because we need to get to this set screw or this blade retention screw. And it's going to be engaged all the way into the blade socket. That's the only way that this guy fits on, right? So you'll take that off, come in here and loosen this guy up a little bit, get that out of the blade socket. We'll come in and take our blade like this. I kind of like to put this piece over my blade like that first, and then I'll come in here, put my blade in, and I'll lock my blade down with my blade retention. And you're gonna have to crank on that a little bit. It's gonna bite into the blade because it has to go past these threads in order for this piece right here to go on. So once you got your blade on, you can just kind of worm this down a little bit. Okay. So yeah, you got to make sure that you're coming at that straight on. Otherwise you will mess up the threads and everything else. But I got that blade in. I got this piece locked down. See the LEDs going. Sounds really good. Twist off.
Jedi? I am. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
So if you don't like what color I have it on, what you want to do is hold down aux and hit the power, and you'll hear this noise. Just like that. Now you can twist the saber and find whatever color you want. Say we wanted a blue. We'll go find a blue, dark blue, maybe right there. Just hit the power button. Now you'll hear that sound, right? So now we've picked that color for that blade. And that rings true on all three of these sabers. Unlight stable. Just like that. And now we'll take the blade out. So yeah, everything's working in this guy also like it should. Let me get this out real quick. So yeah, everything's working in this guy like it should. All three of these guys are looking really good. We'll go through how to take the battery out of this guy just so you can see me do it one time. Just got to get this piece off the blade. Don't forget, when you take your blade out, you're going to have to take that blade retention screw and back it back, or put it back into the blade socket. Otherwise, this main piece won't go back on. Only other saber I remember doing that is the LS6. So we'll just come over here and unscrew the grenade section. That comes right off, and then you can come over here from the positive side right here and pop the battery right out with your finger, just like that. And then we'll put this back in for safekeeping. So yeah, those are your three sabers, sir. Let me know if you got any questions. If not, I'm going to wrap up some touch-up work on this MPP in the morning, and then I'll box all this up and get it out to you. Thanks.